winning the war on rats. City Hall says rat complaints to 311 were down 20% between May and July from this same time last year. Now, sightings and activity throughout the city's four rat mitigation zones dropped by more than 45% within the same time frame. Now, this is on top of the creation of the rat mitigation zones and the staff hired to inspect, exterminate those areas.
But that's only the beginning. The city is bringing together tenants and business owners in a series of anti-rat days of action. I love that. The first taking place in just about 2 weeks. So here to tell us more about it is the very first ever rat czar herself, Kathleen Karate, the director of citywide rodent mitigation. Good morning, Kathleen. Thanks so much for being with us.
Good morning, my pleasure.
And thank you. Thank you for what you do. Seriously, because I hate rats, and I know that was the first thing on the demands of the person taking this job. So this decline in the rat sightings and calls it's really impressive for someone who's only been on the job for, what, 3 months? What do you attribute that drop to?
So there's a number of factors at play, and we're excited to see this drop. First, the work out of Department of Sanitation and the changing in our set-out times for waste. Also, the new rulemaking around containerization requirement for food establishments. We know taking away food from rats is key to long-term success, and we think this drop is really showing that the actions the city is taking is having an effect.
Okay, so Kathleen, this is a multi-agency effort. The Sanitation Department played a big role in kind of starting these new rules for garbage collection and recycling. One of my favorite words, containerization. What are some other changes that New Yorkers can expect to see?
So from Department of Sanitation, they've released a containerization report that really lays out the plan to get our whole city containerized. I'd absolutely check that out if you are a containerization junkie. I think with our other agencies, what we're really seeing with Parks, Department of Health, DOE, and NYC, really looking at what are our best practices, how do we work more efficiently, and then how do we scale them from our rodent mitigation zones to the whole city.
Speaking of that, so yesterday you said if you feed them, you breed them. So what areas are you focusing on, aside from those 4 rat mitigation zones that you're talking about all across the city?
The sanitation rules in effect are citywide, so we're looking at a whole-scale approach to taking away the rat buffet on the curb with black bags. We're also looking at different IPM, integrated pest management strategies, thinking about how we inspect to know where the rats are, and then take dedicated steps to target those areas, both inside our rodent mitigation zones, but then across the city and other hot spots as well.
Something very interesting that I've observed, I feel like when I'm in certain sections of the city or different boroughs and neighborhoods, I don't really see rats. And then you go to others where you may see 1 or 2. Is there anything that you're learning from different areas that may not have, rats kind of more rampant?
Yeah, and Department of Health has been working a long time to categorize our, if you say, rattiest neighborhoods and what are the certain infrastructure and human behaviors happening there. A lot of it comes down to our built city. Our city every day gets older, and older infrastructure actually encourages rats. And that's when we're looking at IPM, integrated pest management, thinking about how city and the human element play together to address these issues.
Now, you talked about containerization.
My favorite word.
Which is Ernie's favorite word. But there's also a lot of new equipment that you're using, in traps, sensors, and I'm hearing fumigation machines. Is there actually fumigation taking place, and where would that be? And is it dangerous for us, especially like pets, kids?
It's a great question. We're looking at a lot of different extermination techniques, again, to make sure we're using the right tool for the right job, depending on that rat population and the area we're serving, from using smart sensor traps so we can be more efficient with how we're staffing at NYC, to the Burrow RX machine, which off-gasses carbon monoxide. We're using that in parks, particularly parks that have nesting raptors, to make sure there's no secondary poisoning if those raptors are eating rats. So we're really fine-tuning method and strategy to the area we're looking at.
So how often would you say these traps and sensors are being checked, and who's actually doing that work?
So the smart sensors are being deployed currently at NYC, and they have an amazing pest management team that is going to sites weekly or sometimes more than weekly to make sure our traps and other pest management techniques are servicing those communities and the rat populations we see there.
All right. Well, you are the first ever rat czar, and now we're going to get the very first ever anti-rat day of action taking place on August 12th in Harlem. So what's that going to look like?
It is going to be a great day. We're bringing together Department of Sanitation, Department of Health, Department of Parks, and members of the Harlem community to take direct action against the things we know support rat populations. So we're going to look at litter and cleanliness. We're going to take a look at our green spaces, make sure they are rat-proof as possible. And then Health is going to do a lot of instruction similar to their rat academies, talking about what we can do as individuals and property owners to make sure our streets are rat-free.
Will there be other locations then in the future?
Oh, yes. We're going to take it to each borough, so be on the lookout for an anti-rat day of action in your neighborhood.
All right, we will indeed. Kathleen, our rat czar, thank you so much for joining us. A few months on the job, but definitely been preparing for this all your life.
Thanks for your time this morning, Kathleen.
Thank you.